So I remember at 12 years old thinking to myself, what's wrong with me? Maybe I'm not good enough.
Yo!
Nerds.
Welcome to another episode of the Uncapped Network. Today, we're honored to have Alfonso Cuadra, also known as the godfather of real estate. He is an award-winning real estate investor, a speaker, author, who has been seen in the New York Times, Rogers TV, the Ottawa Sun, and many other media platforms. He is now the president and CEO of WealthGenius and has helped hundreds of investors reach their maximum potential. Alfonso, gracias for coming onto the podcast.
Well, I'll correct you on that intro, though. It's thousands.
Thousands. There we go.
And I've had the privilege of, mentoring thousands of students and have created thousands of millionaires across North America. So but who's counting?
Yeah. I love that. It needs to be corrected.
Well, it is. It's. I remember someone said you should celebrate your wins, and that's a win too.
Yeah.
Should celebrate, right?
Oh, you know what? All of my wins are about, celebrating the communities that we built, the inspiration that we built. My students collectively my students have done over $1 billion in real estate transactions. I gotta celebrate that. I gotta say that, you know what? Anybody can do this as long as they follow a system, right? And so I'm proud of that. Like, I will scream that from the top of the mountains.
Yeah, you should. Yeah,
You should.
And I guess I want to start off with the event that you threw over the weekend in Windsor was honestly one of the most inspiring events I've ever been to. You know what I mean? I've never in my life seen an Salvadorian man lead a pack and have true freedom of time. You know what I mean? Historically, we know our people aren't always on the winning side of things.
Yeah.
So I guess my question to you is, have you ever experienced something similar?
Yeah, well, we're experiencing right now with our president.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
true.
Our community needs leaders, right? And I think that our community is lacking leaders. And I want to be one of those people. We had one man with a vision and changed a country from the most dangerous country in the world to now one of the safest in the world.
Yeah.
That's a vision. That takes a visionary. That's a leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
To have an idea and put forward a plan and have everybody buy into that idea. First, you need buy-in from the people.
Yeah.
And that's leadership, and that's what's missing. And I'm a leader of leaders, right? So when you are with me, my objective is to make sure that you also become a leader, right? Because if I lead you and you lead others and they lead others, now we can have change, right? It can't just be all about one person. The gap between where you are and where you want to be in life is people. So you need to influence people, you need to inspire people, and you need to have people take action, but you only do that through leadership.
Yeah.
That's the only way. There's no other way. When people ask me, Alfonso, what's the book that I need to read, or what are the things I need to do to 10x my real estate portfolio, or 10x my revenue in my company? Study leadership.
Okay.
I didn't even know this word existed. I had no clue. I thought leadership was someone that is the boss.
Mm-hmm.
That's not leadership. When I started to study leadership, I discovered there's levels, right? That boss level, that's a positional leader, but it's the very lowest type of leader that exists, right? Because the people are only following because they have to, because you're the boss or the president or whatever. But when people follow because they want to, because there's something in it for them, this is leadership. And this is how you start changing things. This is how you can take a vision and start inspiring people, and they start buying into the vision. They start taking action, getting results, and then they start inspiring other people, and those people inspire other people, and now you've changed a whole culture. You've changed the whole country.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess, when did you realize that you needed to focus on leadership? Like, at what point in your life?
I think it was like me hitting my head against the wall hundreds of times. Hiring and firing, and I remember one day I was thinking, you can't find good people.
Yeah.
Right. And I realized that, a business, it's like your kids. No one's gonna care as much about your kids as you do. You can't expect for someone to love your kids and care for your kids. And when you have a business, you're almost like a parent, and the business is a baby. You got to nourish it like a father, and you got to nourish it and protect it like a mother, and protect it like a father, and be there for that baby. Or else it's not gonna grow. Right. It's like it's going to be malnourished.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, why don't people care about my business like I do? So what happens if you are a positional leader, meaning you're leaning on the fact that you're the boss, what you get is employees. And so the only way I learned is by hitting my head against the wall multiple times, going through yet another person that I've spent 6 months training, and they leave to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because I've had multiple companies, and when I started to read John Maxwell, and I started to learn that, leadership, it's not about being the boss. Leadership is actually about helping other people get the things in the life that they want. Because if you can help enough people get what they want, what you want will be automatic.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so people, we're all just trying to strive for a better life, and everybody's in this pursuit of happiness. Right. And so if you treat someone like an employee, then they'll leave to another place that pays them more.
Yeah.
It's just like when you go through an interview with someone, and you're like, what do you want to get paid? And you say, well, I want to get $55,000 a year. Why do you want $55,000 a year? They're like, well, the last place paid me 52. Yeah. So, if I'm going to move from where I'm going, I'm going to move for 55, right? Yeah. So for over $3,000, someone would move jobs.
Yeah.
And so they're not moving jobs for the money. They're moving the job because they're uninspired. And that's the way it works with everything, right? With a country, with a company, with real estate, with people, education. It's like people are not there because they want to work there. They're there because of how they feel about where they work, mm-hmm. right? And if you can create a space where the culture it feeds into the things that they want, and you can help them get to where they want, you'll have long-lasting citizens. Mm-hmm. You'll have long-lasting investors. You'll have long-lasting employees, and through that, once you build the foundation, then you can build on top of it, right? You can start hiring other people, and the culture will continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the culture, the community that we've created with WealthGenius, it's like we were so solid when we were at 50 members. We poured into our students, we poured into our people to the point where those people, now when there's new people, they pour into them. And so it's easy to grow an organization. Now we're almost at 1,000 members, where the culture is like, okay, when you're here, you're supported because it started from the very beginning, right? Yeah. From the foundation. So the first employees you have, if you build that culture, if you build it into your company, then everybody that comes afterwards, they're gonna follow suit, right? Because everybody is like teaching somebody else, and they're teaching somebody else.
Yeah.
And so, that's leadership, right?
And how long does it take to implement that? Like, for example, like when you noticed, okay, I need to become a real leader, like how long does that transition take? Or is it a growing thing? You know what I mean?
So I think it's going to be, it's going to be a road. You're going to go down a road, and you're going to go through ups and downs and try to figure this out, right? You can't just, people say he's a natural born leader. I don't know. I don't know about that. Well, there's people that I would say that have a knack for it.
Yeah.
But how long will it take? That's a good question. Well, it's taken me 28 years, to get to this point, and I don't think I'm not even close to where I want to be. I think the first part is learning how to communicate your vision. And the better you are at communicating your vision to your people, the faster you'll be able to grow leadership within your company. So I'll give you an example. When I started, I had a brand. Like, I thought the brand was just the name of the company. But really, the brand is the culture behind the company and what it stands for and what people perceive it as. So, for example, when people look at WealthGenius, right? So our mission is to inspire the world to create financial freedom. That's our mission, right? Our core values include fun, family, integrity, freedom, and we have core values that people can buy into. So my job as the leader is to communicate the core values to not only the membership, but the people that work with us. And so everybody should be able to communicate that core value. So you need to be crystal clear on why we're doing this, right? So you can pull someone from my organization and tell them, why is WealthGenius here? And they will all tell you the reason WealthGenius exists is because of the founder's vision in No One Left Behind. Well, where does that come from? No One Left Behind. Well, that comes from when I was 12 years old, right? That's something that impacted my life. I felt like I was left behind. I asked my mom when I was 12, where's my dad?
Yeah.
And my mom said, your dad left during the war, never came back. And so that impacted my life. I felt like I was abandoned.
Yeah.
And I never, ever want someone to feel that way. You see, now there's a reason why we're here, right? It can't just be a logo.
Yeah.
That's not a brand. The brand is really, WealthGenius is here to help as many people as possible, right? Our mission is to inspire the world to create financial freedom, but our vision is to create the most powerful real estate investing platform in the world. And so this is called communication, what the company stands for. That's at the very basic level of how you build leadership within your organization. So once you can communicate that to your people, and it's crystal clear where they can regurgitate it to as many people as possible. Now you've built leadership, because now you're creating other leaders. I was in the Holiday Inn a couple of years back, and everybody says, hello, good morning. And I'm like, everyone here is always so, it was always so like bubbly,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's pretty cool, right? I like it. And then the guy points to the mission statement on the wall.
Yeah.
Right? This is the cleaning person.
Yeah.
And so if the leadership goes all the way down to the cleaning person, where the person that's cleaning up the cleaning the floors knows exactly what that company stands for, and they know the vision, the mission, and the why, and they align with the core values, then people are not going to leave for $3,000, right?
Yeah.
They can get the people in my organization, they can go get paid 10 times more because I feel I've cultivated some of the best people, and best people can go and get high-level executive jobs. But you know why they don't leave? Because they have fulfillment.
Yeah.
And if you can help people achieve fulfillment, the money, no one's gonna no one's gonna want to chase money versus fulfillment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the real meaning of freedom.
Yeah.
It's like you're no longer chasing something. Freedom is like the things are chasing you.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of how I would say, how long leadership takes.
It's an ongoing process.
It's an ongoing. It's a road, right?
Yeah.
And I like the question because, you guys are young, and you have companies, and you want to establish yourself, and so, that's going to be a long road, and it's going to be you're going to continue to evolve as leaders, but the first step is communicating that to the people that are working with you.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're crystal clear on why you're doing this, like, why are you doing this podcast? If the people that are working with you guys know exactly why this podcast even exists, then you have a long-lasting company.
Yeah, true. That's a good point.
It is. I want to ask, with you becoming a leader, was there something that you had to drastically change within yourself to achieve that?
Yes. I was selfish,
Mhm.
Just a simple change of a word from I to we.
Mhm.
I did this. I do that. I, to we're doing this. We're growing. Our people, the people that work with us versus people that work for us, right? Language is powerful. And when you're not when you're not inclusive to other people, and you're not sensitive to how other people feel, you're gonna have a hard time creating followers, right? And that was the hardest part for me to transition, because I was like, well, I'm the guy that signs the checks.
Yeah. It's real though.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, no, it doesn't matter, because they don't work for me. I work for them, right? It's very different, right? So usually the way organization charts and the way it works, it's a pyramid, right?
Yep.
Where the CEO sits on the top, and all of these people, they're here working for the leadership, the people on top.
Yep.
So it's a simple change of mindset where you turn the pyramid, or the pyramid upside down, where now the leadership is supporting all the people. The leadership is supporting the people, not the other way around.
Yeah, I've never thought about it like that.
Oh yeah,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because you always see the hierarchy, like kind of like the pyramid style.
Yeah,
yeah.
But there's that. Have you ever seen that vision where it's like the guy? So it's like a boss, and he's telling the people what to do, and they're pulling the trolley or whatever. He's sitting on that trolley, and the people are pulling the trolley. He's like, that's a boss,
Yeah.
right? The leader is out front, pushing and pulling with the people.
Yeah.
Right. That's a leadership,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what, that's kind of what has happened in our country.
Yeah.
Right. There's a leader that came, and he said, we're going to do this. We're going to do this together. All of the government, everybody, because if one person gets an idea, whoop-de-doo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's only when you get the buy-in from everybody. And that is true leadership. When you get everybody on board, We just had an election in El Salvador.
Yep.
85% of the people
Yep.
voted this guy back in office.
Yep.
That's leadership.
Yeah.
It's not almost, you almost made it by one vote. No, it's not. 85%
Yeah.
are on board. You have full buy-in from your people. That means that they're going to take leadership over their own lives. It's the broken window effect. You know the broken window effect?
I haven't heard that.
So there's Malcolm Gladwell has a book. It's called can't think of the name, but it talks about the broken window effect. And they did this in New York, where, you know, if you remember in the 70s and 80s, New York was, you know,
Really bad, right?
was a dark place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so they made it illegal for people to have broken windows. So if you would have a broken window, you would get a fine.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened? Everybody started to repair their windows, right?
Yeah.
And so they're repairing the windows. That means, you know, they're repairing other things. And then the citizens themselves, is, you know, they see that people are cleaning up the city. And so instead of throwing the trash in the ground, they'll put it in the garbage.
Yeah.
Right. And so because other people care,
Yeah.
they care.
Yeah.
Right. That's the broken window effect. Right.
Yeah.
And so you can bring that into your organization where you are supportive of your people and you care. And because you care, they care.
Mhm.
Because you care, they stay later because it matters, because we have to get the job done. It's not clock out at 5. If you don't care about them, if they're just employees, then at 5, they clock out.
Yeah.
They actually clock out 4:45.
Yeah.
They're like, you know, that last 15 minutes, you know, they're going to the bathroom.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, right?
They're not going to go to the bathroom on their time. Right? And so that's the difference. And then once you do that, then you have ultimate freedom. Then you can step away from your business because everyone has buy-in and ownership.
Mhm.
The reason why El Salvador is changing is because the government has also put the onus on the people. If you see something, say something.
Yep.
And so the people themselves are they have surveillance over themselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they bought into the vision.
Mhm.
That is leadership.
Yeah, no, and it's crazy. And like, it hasn't only impacted El Salvador, like every neighboring country or country in Central America is like,
Good, man.
It's a
we
case
had-
study.
yeah,
It's
it
a
is.
case study, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, how many times did everybody just throw up their hands in the air and say, "Hey, it is what it is.
Correct.
This is the way it is. I mean, we can't change it."
Yeah.
I think it's been our whole lifetime, and if not longer, right? Everybody just kind of thought it was a normal back then, right?
Yeah.
It was like, let them kind of do their thing. And then when someone chose to step in and was kind of hard with it, everybody did believe in it and start policing their own communities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, like when you put it like that, because like, yeah, true leadership is having everyone buy into your vision, like not like work for you, but like
Work with you.
work
Yeah,
with,
work
yeah,
with you.
with you, like you
Yeah.
said. And it's just that change of the change of language. And what I liked what you said at the event was the word humble. You know, I would always think that was a good word in the sense, and I was telling you this yesterday.
We
No,
actually
but
had
honestly,
this
it's
talk,
like,
yeah.
oh, like you're so humble, I'm so humble. But then what Alfonso was saying is that humble actually means like less than.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look up the meaning of the word, humble means less than, and words are powerful.
Mhm.
If we're running around saying these words, like almost wearing these words like a badge, you should check out what the word means, you know?
True.
Yeah.
And so the idea of shining, like, you know, you said, you know, he's helped hundreds of people. I've helped thousands of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because I want to shine. And through me shining, I inspire other people to shine. Right? And so there's nothing noble in playing life small. I believe you should play life big, right? Expand, allow yourself to expand. One of the biggest things that stops most people is this guilt they feel over success.
Yeah.
Some people have a fear of failing. Some people have a fear of the unknown. But I'm willing to bet that a lot of people have a fear of success, right? The reason why they don't do something is because they fear the consequences behind the success. They fear what they have to exchange or what they have to sacrifice. And so if you've grown up with the mindset, and this is the way I was growing up, in my household, anybody that was wealthy, it was not looked upon as something positive, right? My mom would say, "Well, people are greedy. Wealthy people are greedy," and
I feel like we could relate too, right?
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
kind of
I mean,
Latino culture
well,
in a way.
the thing about our countries is there's so much corruption
Mhm.
that, and this is what Bukele, he talks about anti-corruption, and when you go to El Salvador, you see a big sign that says "El dinero alcanza si nadie roba."
Yeah.
The money will last if no one steals,
Mhm.
right? Because the perception is if you have something, you probably did something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when people have money, there's like, oh, they're corrupt, they're greedy. And that's the mindset that a lot of people come to the Western world with. And it's not true. I discovered that the most generous people that I know are wealthy people because they have the means to be generous.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, when you shine, you allow other people to shine, right? When you expand and you grow and you build, you create, you can do so many things. We live on an economic planet, and people are going paycheck to paycheck. Some people are going from crisis to crisis, and everything on this planet costs money. But if you don't have a positive relationship with money, you will sabotage yourself. Because if you were brought up with the paradigms and the conditioning of money's bad, people that have money are greedy, you got to be humble.
Yeah.
Alfonsito, you got to be humble.
Yeah.
And then so that's the mindset. What happens is when you get money, you will sabotage yourself.
I know.
You'll never give yourself that opportunity. And so this is what stops a lot of people, right? They have a negative relationship with money. They feel that it's the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to be humble. You gotta, you shouldn't show off. Those kind of things. And so if you don't show, and how are you going to inspire someone to do the same, right? When you share, and it's not about showing off, it's share. I want to share with people the fact that I've helped so many thousands of people. I want to share that with people because guess what? You can do the same. And if you start helping thousands of people because you're inspired by my story and how I helped thousands of people, then now we're helping tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And then through this podcast, we're sharing it to the people that are watching this, and they're inspired and they help more people because money will just make you more of who you are.
Yeah.
And if you're a giving person, money will just give you the tools to give more. And so where I came from, war-torn country, I lived on the streets at 15 years old, dropped out of high school, became a teenage parent. I went through dark times, and my life is the inspiration to other people. That's what I believe, right? It's like if someone looks at me, they're like, "Whoa, this guy wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth, right? This guy came from the gutter, right? And look where he's at. If he can do it, I can do it, right?
Yep.
We're from the same country. We're from the same continent. We're from the same culture.
Yep.
And ultimately, you guys are young. Where are the role models? Where's the person that you could say, okay, this guy is like me. He did it. I can do it too, right? And so that is inspiration. That's shining, not in an arrogant way, not to shine because you want to make other people feel bad. You want to shine to inspire other people. You want to shine so you give the permission for other people to shine. Because if you shine, someone else is going to shine.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's like everybody's duty, or some people are just made to do that?
I think it's my duty.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
a long time, I made a decision and I changed the way I thought about things from what I wanted in my life to how I was going to use my life. And this idea that my life could be used to inspire other people to live their lives to the highest capacity. And I don't know if everybody feels like they have that calling, because I don't know anybody else's experience other than mine.
Yeah.
But that's the path that I'm on, right? And that's my duty. And if you don't see it yet, I want to help you get there.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you think it's really important to even focus on the youth now, especially to build those leaders young instead of waiting for maybe them to come to you?
I want everybody to focus on the things that align with them.
Mhm.
So for me, youth is important, but we're all going to align with different things. My vision of inspiring the world to create financial freedom for everybody on this planet is so they realize that you need life fulfillment, and they're going to go out, and because now they have their time, they're going to do amazing things. Maybe someone believes in inspiring and empowering women. Maybe someone believes in inspiring young adults. Maybe someone believes in inspiring people from developing nations, right? Everybody should pursue to help as much as they can based on what is in alignment with them, because this is how they're going to feel ultimate fulfillment. And so for me, I feel ultimate fulfillment because when I was 12, I felt like I was left behind. I was abandoned. And so I want to be that person for young people today, that I can show them there's other ways. If you feel like you don't fit in this box that society likes to put everybody in, like I felt I didn't fit in the box.
Yeah.
There's other options, and let me be that person that could support you on all of the options that exist. And so for me, youth is important, right? But everybody should find something that they align with and pour into that.
Yeah.
Right?
You have a lot of people like relying on you, right? In the sense of like you're the face of a brand and you've inspired so many people. How do you balance pushing yourself to like meet those expectations for those people, and then like taking care of yourself
so
that you don't burn out?
Yeah. It's important to know yourself, know your body. I love what I do so much that I don't know. I don't see myself burning out. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't know, my body talks to me, right? So if it feels like it's work, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And I am responsible for a lot of people. And I want to make sure I always show up with my best foot forward.
Mhm.
And if I can't be my best, I almost feel like I've cheated people out of an experience, you know? And so I always take care of myself. The way I look at myself like a professional athlete, right? So, this is my playoff season, and I'm in the playoffs right now. So that means I want to take care of myself. I'm going to sleep. I'm not going to drink alcohol, right? On the way here, you guys, you want some cervecita? I'm like, water's fine.
Yeah.
Because I'm in my zone.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's more important to me than, alcohol or, sleeping late or whatnot. So I treat myself like a professional athlete. Like if right now you were going to the World Cup, the mindset is going to be very different. Right. And then when you're off, right? So, there's times that I leave for 2 months. Right. And I just relax. The past 6 months I've taken 9 vacations.
Wow.
And so I do have off and on, but when I'm in.
Yeah.
Right. And it's all in. Like if you come to my event, you're getting all of me.
Yeah.
Right. I'm I'm putting my heart out there. I'm not gonna hold anything back. And my obsession with making sure I deliver 10 times more value that I could ever receive in exchange, that has been a philosophy that has paid me huge, right? I mean, in my investing in real estate, my businesses, the communities that I've built, that philosophy of making sure that people get 10 times more that I could ever receive in exchange has put me here where I am.
Do you remember that, like, the exact moment when you got this fulfillment feeling that you speak of?
Yes. So I started business pretty young. I was 17 years old. And it was a result of my daughter being born. So when my daughter was born, I was 17. I was a teenage parent. And a big part of my why is my daughter. And when I was 12, I felt abandoned. So there's no way in hell I was ever going to have my kids feel that way, even though at 17, you're not supposed to be having kids. But I found a purpose, right? And I went back to school. I cleaned up my life because I was in a dark place before she was born.
Mm-hmm.
If you can imagine, she's 28 today. And so as a result of her being born, I started a business at 17. I finished my high school. Like I was like locked in, focused, right? Because I had this responsibility. And so the business grew, and I started to, get recognized, because I was so young.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point they did so I got a call from Reader's Digest.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, we see what you're doing in the community and what you've done. You built this, my business was like across Canada.
Yeah.
It was a clothing store. That was my first business.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I got this business, and it's growing. I'm this refugee kid that came with a single mother and, came with nothing. And all of a sudden I built this business across Canada. And Reader's Digest wants to do a story, and they do a 7-page profile on my life. And I thought Reader's Digest was just a magazine people put in the back of their toilet or whatever.
Yeah.
But it ended up to be this like, it's a global magazine.
Yeah.
And it went to like 16 different countries, translated into like 6 different languages, including Spanish and Mandarin.
Yeah.
And as a result of that article, I got mail from all over the world.
Wow.
All over the world. And I read all of it. Like Canada Post would deliver mail in a bag,
Really?
Like it's like, here's your mail.
Yeah.
And so I read all these letters, and it was so inspiring. And all these letters were like, people reaching out, and they read my story, and they're like, because of your story, I did this. And because of your story, I was able to, start a business, and now I'm helping out my parents, or now I can feed my kids, or, all kinds of really amazing stories from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I realized the impact that I could actually have on people, and how my story could inspire other people. And so that was the first time I ever felt fulfilled, where it was like, wow, like my life actually means something, right? And it was only when I could use my life to help other people, where my cup could be full.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in service of other people that I feel that. And that was the very first time that I felt that. And I said, I want to feel this all the time.
How old were you at that time?
I would say I was like 27, 28.
Yeah, that's our age. Okay.
27, 28.
Yeah.
Just to give you context, I'm 47 now.
That's crazy.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, I like to freak people out, but usually when I say I'm 47, and I say I have a 28-year-old, then people start doing the math. They're like,
That's funny. But no, like you said, like at 17, it is a young age and life comes at you fast, right? So like, was it literally like when you saw your daughter, it's just like in that moment is that when you're like, okay, like this is real life?
Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't think I would ever have kids.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't have any younger brothers or any kind of brothers or cousins. So I didn't, I don't know. I just, it was not part of my awareness.
Yeah.
Right. And even up until the point where I'm going to the hospital. Okay. So I'm on my way to the hospital and they say your daughter was born, because we didn't have cell phones back then. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so, my ex went into labor and she went right to the hospital.
Mhm.
So I missed it.
Mhm.
And so they called me after the fact and your daughter was born. And so I didn't even have money for the bus. You know what I mean? I had to walk to the hospital, right? So I walked to the hospital with two of my other friends.
Mhm.
And after a night of partying, after a night of doing all the worst things you could possibly do in a very dark place,
Yeah.
And so I'm walking. It's like, it still doesn't hit me, right? It doesn't hit me that I'm a father at this point. It's just like, okay, like, you have this human being that's been born and you should probably go and check it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I walk into the hospital and I was not used to going into hospitals, right? It just feels like a place where people are sick.
Yeah.
And then I remember asking, where's the room? And, I was actually in the wrong wing and I didn't even know where to go. So then I had to figure out where to go. And then finally, I make it to the room and so the reason I missed it is because my daughter was premature.
Okay.
And so she was in an incubator, right? She was a tiny little thing. And I'm like, oh, wow, So it still didn't hit me because it's in behind the glass.
Yeah.
They're like, that's your daughter. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I definitely understand the importance of it. I don't think it's really like sunk in that I'm going to be responsible for this person for the rest of this person's life.
Yeah.
Right. And the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm 17.
You're young.
You're still taking care of yourself.
Yeah. So I don't even know. I'm not even taking care of myself.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
I'm still a nose picker.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and the nurse says, would you like to hold your daughter? And so I was like, what do you mean what do you mean? Like, yeah, do you want to hold her?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, no. Because I was like, I'm not even responsible enough to take care of myself. I'm going to drop this person right now. I don't want to be responsible for this person, And she's like, no, you're going to be, you should hold her. I'm like, no, she's an incubator. No, just leave her there. I don't want to bother her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no, you should probably hold your daughter. And so she takes her out of she lifts the incubator and takes her out of the incubator and she puts her in my arms. And that's when it hit me. I was like, oh boy. Like everything in life, you get instructions. There's no instructions here, man.
Yeah.
Right. This thing hit me hard and I started crying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God. I was left behind and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that this little girl gets everything she ever needs. And I want to make her so proud of me. And, whatever it takes, I'm going to change, And I was crying. I went into the bathroom and I remember looking at myself into the mirror. And I said, Alfonso, you have to change. You got to change.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, that put me on a trajectory of my entire life where I'm at. Because if it wasn't for that little girl,
Mhm.
I'd be dead or in jail.
Yeah.
That's 100% guaranteed. I would not be here today.
So in a way, like that, like she was your miracle that you needed.
Yeah, your
She
savior.
was a miracle. Yeah, she's my guardian angel.
Yeah. That's special, man.
Literally got chills from that. Literally.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. And like you have a second daughter now too, right?
Oh, I have two beautiful daughters.
Yeah.
Actually, with my wife, we have 4 kids,
Oh wow.
Yeah.
right? And so she's got 2, I got 2.
Yeah.
My youngest is 17,
Mhm.
and she's turning 18 in about a month or so, about 2 months. And she's beautiful, smart, and I don't know how I got so lucky. I have 2 kids that are just incredible kids.
Yeah.
And they should be proud of themselves. You know what I mean? And
In the future, those boyfriends better be careful.
Yo, yeah, right.
They better show up proper.
They don't want the old Alfonso back. Did you ever feel that you would be in this position at this point? Like, as you kept growing yourself and like became more of a leader, like, did you think this would be your life?
at the very beginning, I had no clue. When I was young, I had no belief in myself. I had no self-confidence. I had no self-worth. I would consistently push myself down, and I felt like the whole world was against me. Right? I was the victim of the world.
Mhm.
Right? And when I looked at myself into the mirror and I said, Alfonso, I have to change, I decided to stop blaming the world for my problems, and I took responsibility over myself. So leadership starts with leadership over yourself, right? You got to lead yourself first. That's the first follower that you need, is yourself. And through that, I started to develop, right? And so the more I developed, the more I knew that I was definitely living way beneath my potential.
Mhm.
And, when you change, it's not an instant change. There's always pieces of your old life that will chase you into your new life. It's funny how that works. It's like the changing of the seasons.
Yeah.
It's never really fully spring,
Yeah.
right? It's always like spring, and then you get little elements of winter that is still, they're still part of spring.
Mhm.
And then there's always elements of spring in summer, and there's always elements of summer in fall, and there's always elements of fall in winter. There's never like a clean, like it's like, oh, I want to stop doing this, or
Mhm.
I'm going to change my life, and it's a full transition.
Yeah.
Not in the way I've experienced it anyways.
Yeah.
And so, there's always elements of your past life. For example, if you are unhealthy and overweight, there's probably a whole support system that made you, overweight
Yeah.
Yeah.
and unhealthy. Maybe it was friends. Maybe it was poison friends. I call them demons, right?
Yeah.
So your demons are going to come and chase you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Demons of your past,
Yeah.
just to see if you're really changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you will be tested.
Yeah.
Right? As you're transitioning, you're going to be tested. For example, if I'm trying to lose weight,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to be, live a healthier lifestyle, and I still continue to hang around the same people, and the reason you got to where you are is because of these people, because people's lives are a direct reflection of the expectations of their peer groups. And so there's elements of your past life, of the overeating, the unhealthy eating, that are going to chase you into your new life that you've decided now that you want to be healthy.
Mhm.
And you'll be tested. You'll be tempted
Yeah.
Yeah.
to do things the way you used to do. And if you go back, it's just gonna suck you back, right? Those are
Yeah.
those are called demons.
Yeah.
Demons of your past life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was things that I did in my past when I was 14, 15 years old. And I got into trouble, and I had a court case. And so I'm trying to get my life together. right? I got this kid. I'm trying to get my life together. And I remember this gentleman. His name is Peter. Peter is this Canadian white guy that was friend of our family, and he saw this young Latino kid with no dad, and he kind of stepped up as like a big brother or a dad without wanting the recognition. It's not like he's part of the Big Brothers program or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was always there, and so I got this court case coming up, which could pull me back into a whole, going back to. You bring me back into winter.
Yeah.
I'm in spring right now. I'm trying to get to summer. This court case could pull me right back into winter.
Yeah.
And Peter comes to my house, right? And so I finally got my first place. I was like sleeping all over the place, and I'm trying to get my life together because now I'm a father, right? I gotta step up.
Yeah.
And so Peter says, I hear you got this court case. And I said, yeah, this is something that I did when I was 15, right? But it's, obviously it takes time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it one of those demons trying to pull me back in?
Yeah.
And he's like, do you have a suit? And I said, a suit? Why do I need a suit? He says, well, if you show respect to the courts. And by the way, it was like a petty crime. It was like something stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a charge on my record could have an impact on the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's like, you should, if you want to be taken seriously, you should probably wear a suit. I said, I don't have a suit. He's like, let's go get you a suit.
Wow.
And so we went to this secondhand store. I remember right on Bank Street in the Glebe. And so I'm trying. I've never had a suit in my entire life.
Yeah.
I'm 17, never put on a suit.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm trying. I don't even know my size. So I take a few suits into the change room, and I'm trying on these jackets. I got on these suits. It feels uncomfortable, and I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm not a suit guy.
Yeah.
And then I come out, and I look at myself into the mirror. And for the very first time in my life, I saw potential. I saw all the things that I could be.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it was the spark that I knew that I could do more with my life. And ever since then, I've been chasing that because I know that I can do so much more. And then I know that I have not even tapped into my full potential. No one has, right? And so part of my philosophy of expansion is to set goals that seem so crazy that the action steps have to change. Because if the goal seems attainable, you'll never change the things that you do. And so once you expand and you grow and you move the goalpost, now the things that you do have to change dramatically. I could have said, my vision and my mission is to inspire my community to create freedom.
Yeah.
I could have said, I want Ontario to create freedom, or Canada. I want to inspire Canada to create freedom. But I said, I want to inspire the world to create financial freedom. And so because the goal is the world, now the action steps have to change dramatically. And this is how you achieve expansion.
Yeah, that was one of the craziest things at your event is when you first asked us, like, what are your goals in the next 5 years? And I'm writing down these goals that I think are like big, right? But like maybe they are achievable in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And then you said double the goal, double that goal, now double that goal. And I'm looking at this number and I'm just like, holy shit. Like, you know what I mean? Can I do that? But and then the first goal, it looked so small. The first goal that I set for myself, it was like, why was I aiming so low, right? So like I could completely relate to like I understand what you're saying because of that event and that experience that I had. Right? It's just like, if you put a goal that's in front of you that's not that big. You're not going to change.
Yeah.
No, you just didn't do the same thing that you've always done. And if you do the same thing you've always done, you will get the same results that you've always gotten.
Yeah.
Nothing changes.
Yeah, that's what they say. It's the crazy person is the one who
Insanity?
Oh, it's
Yeah. Insanity is the same person that does the same thing every day, hoping for a different result.
Yeah.
And that's wild.
Right? How has it come to like just develop this kingdom of wealth genius at this point with helping so many people? Is it now just something that you hope carries on for even when you're gone?
Yeah. So at the very beginning, and my business partner were like, okay, what should we name this thing? Right? Because at the very beginning, people were just like, it's Alfonso's group, or it's Alfonso's inner circle kind of thing, And, some names were thrown out there, right? And it was like Alfonso Cuadra's, multifamily course or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want my name on it. Yeah, I don't want my name on it. I want to build a company that everyone can plug into and feel like they're a part of, and everyone can propel it forward without me, right? So if I'm no longer here, WealthGenius will continue, and the mission will continue, the vision will continue without me. Versus like, okay, if it's my name, then it lives and dies with me. Versus now we've given it a different life, and so that's WealthGenius. That's why we created WealthGenius.
And at what point in your life did you transition to real estate, or you thought, or you like, you turned and you're like, okay, like I run businesses, successful businesses, clearly. Why real estate?
Well, at 21, I had it all. I had made it, right? My business was like rocking, right? The problem was I've had no financial education. I have no one ever taught me how to run a business, how to preserve a business. No one taught me how to invest. No one taught me, what I should do with my money. And so the only influence that I had was what I could see other people doing on television, right? Or in the media. So Latino people like me back in the 90s that had money were flossing, were showing how much money they have. They were showing how rich they were. They were consumers. And I was very much a consumer.
Yeah.
Right. And so by the time I'm 24, I'm almost bankrupt. Right. So I'm almost lost everything. 21, I have it all.
Top of the world.
Yeah, money is overflowing, and I'm buying all the jewelry and all the dumb stuff that any 21-year-old.
I want to see a picture of you when
All
you're 21.
We'll show you right
chains.
I will show you. I will show you. You can only imagine.
Yeah.
So whatever your imagination.
10 times that.
Exactly. And so I learned a hard lesson, right? Like I didn't have the investor mindset. And so what I started to do is I started to research, and I started to read about other successful and wealthy people. And I discovered that I was doing everything wrong, right? I did one thing right. I started a business. But when I was reading about other wealthy people, I discovered that other wealthy people have multiple streams of income, not just one. Because what happens when everything is good, everything is good when you have one stream. But when everything is bad, it's going to be really bad.
Yeah.
And so when one stream runs out, what are you going to do? And so, for me, I was like, I got to develop a second stream. And then when I was doing all my research about all the wealthiest people in the world, I noticed one common thread. They all own real estate. And they all leverage real estate and real assets to pay less taxes and create generational wealth. Most real estate can be passed from one generation to the other quite easily.
Yeah.
Businesses have a hard time, and sometimes they fail on the third generation, right? It's very difficult to have true generational wealth through just the business alone, because it's the next generation may not have the same passion and drive as the first generation that had that hustle that built that business.
Yeah.
But real estate, you know, what I love about real estate is you do the job once and it pays you for life. You do the job once and you do it right.
Yeah.
And it pays you for life. This is what I noticed when I read about all the wealthiest people in the world. No one was bragging about their single family home. No one was bragging about the duplex and the triplex. Everyone that I had read about had commercial real estate, larger assets. Warren Buffett doesn't even list his house on his net worth statement. It's not even worth it. That's a place where he lives. It's not an investment for him.
Yeah.
And so what I knew was, okay, real estate was the path, but I needed to do it the right way. And so what I did was I jumped into multifamily commercial real estate, and I educated myself. I got mentorship, and I learned how to do it the right way. And so I've managed to grow the portfolio to just under 1,000 doors across Canada, the US. About $200 million portfolio is what we're sitting at right now.
That's amazing.
I love that.
Yeah. So it all happened as a result of me failing.
Yeah.
Right. I was failing, but I had to adjust and become an investor, become a someone that puts their money to work for him instead of like working for the money. Because that's what I was doing. Even if I had my business, I was self-employed.
Yeah.
And then, do you remember like your first multifamily like apartment and
yeah,
how was that, like the experience though? Because I feel like a lot of people in real estate, you know what I mean? Like they're going after, like you said, the single family houses, the duplexes. Like that's a great investment, you know. And I'm not saying I'm not like downplaying it, but you know what I mean. But then for you to just like go for multifamilies and know that that's the way, like that's just like a switch of mindset, you know. It's a different way of thinking.
So my first multi. So we're gonna classify multi as like multiple families. So my first one was a duplex that I converted into a triplex. Okay. That was my first experience with having a tenant. Or tenants. Right. And that was a trip. Right? It's like this guy, I'm like, it was so awkward for me. And back in those days, because you guys don't even know, you don't know the hustle. You know, you had to knock on doors and where's my rent? You know, like, you know, it was just a different time. And so that was my first experience, was a duplex that I converted into a triplex. My second property was a 7-unit apartment building.
Oh, wow.
And it was not in the best neighborhood. You know, and, you know, I'm young, I'm in my early 20s. So it's like, I was sacrificing certain things and standards and things like that. But I was hungry. Right. And I remember, some of the tenants that I had were not upstanding citizens, you know, some of the different kind of citizens that you would find, you know. And, people being late, and I realized like you better collect your rent on the second, or else, you know, you'll come on the first or the second. That's max, because you come on the third and there's like all these 2-4s by the door and your rent is gone. You know, so that's how I started. You know, I started with very low income, and I just painting, doing all the work myself at the very beginning. Hitting my head against the wall, learning about, you know, how money works, how debt works, how leverage works, and how to refi quickly. And, you know, I used to read a lot, and I would read about creative financing strategies, and, you know, people wouldn't believe me, and I'd have to walk around with my book, and people say, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah, you can do that. This says so in this book. And you know, I love that I can take that all away from my students. Right. Because most people want to go through trial and error, and they'll spend the next 20 years trying to figure out what I already know.
Mhm.
And through mentorship and through coaching, it's a straight line.
Yeah, you skip all the mistakes.
Yes.
Right.
You'll make some mistakes on your own. I mean, there's certain things that we could tell you over and over until you do it. You're like, oh, I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
But you can mitigate the risk and you can fast track. It's called a cheat code.
Yeah.
Right. And what you should do is look for people that have done the thing that you're trying to do. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. I went and found the person that was doing what I wanted to do in my city. And I asked him for mentorship and I paid whatever he asked.
Yeah.
And it was a ridiculous amount, but it was money well invested because that investment gave me a cheat code, gave me a fast track. And it's the reason why I sit here today.
Yeah. What was one of your biggest like mistakes in real estate, and then one of your biggest like wins in real estate?
One of my biggest mistakes was, I would say, not leveling up fast enough. I spent a lot of time at the very beginning playing small and, being afraid. I'm not people think like I'm a risk taker. I'm not a risk taker. I follow calculated formula and I don't deviate. Right. And so, sometimes there's opportunities outside of things if you know how to identify them. And then I became comfortable with, so 7 to 10, I'd stay there for a while. And then I leveled up to like 20, 10 to 20s. And then I was just coasting for a long time doing 20 units, 20 units, 20 units, 20 units, where I was no longer expanding. And so I think I spent a lot of time playing small. One of my biggest wins is the discovery of new builds. So I've made this transition into new build apartment buildings where for the longest time I was scared, because I felt I don't know about land development. I'm not a builder. And so one of the biggest wins for me is this transition that I've made where now I'm building brand new apartment buildings and from, I'm building them from scratch. I'm developing the land. I'm growing these, I'm putting up these apartment buildings and I'm like, wow, I used to play Lego,
Yeah.
And so that's some of my wins right now. It's like, I love the space that I'm in right now, especially where the country is, where they're planning on bringing 20 million new Canadians in the next 25 years. And so there's going to be a need and there's going to be massive incentives by the government for people to build. And I'm already on that trajectory. Yeah. So it's really exciting.
You're already ahead of the curve in a way, right?
And it's complete expansion for me, right? Yeah. I'm uncomfortable. I'm not quite sure sometimes. And so this is where I need to be.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson says something interesting about like your vision. You know what I mean? Like if you focus on one thing, the cost of that is everything around that one thing is blurry.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it seems like you had to like redefine your vision as you kept on going.
Yeah.
Do you kind of foresee your new vision? Like you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, my new vision right now is I want to build 7,500 doors in the next 5 years. That's my new vision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just the other day, an opportunity came to build with steel and concrete. So where the types of assets that I'm building right now are just wood frame.
Yeah.
Right. So 2, 3 level walk-ups. That's what I've come comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I understand it. Now I can talk about it,
Yeah.
And, but this new opportunity has come where it's like building with steel and concrete up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not 3 levels up, but 10 levels up.
Yeah.
Or 15 levels up. And at first it's intimidating. I'm like, oh my God, this is for the big boys.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this is exactly where I need to be, you know? So at some point in my future, I'm going to be the guy with the crane. I'm going to be building with cranes and using steel and concrete.
Yeah. I love that. I love how that's like clear. No
right?
hesitation. You already kind of know when you're ahead of the game in that sense, which is amazing. Yeah. No, this is honestly like an awesome conversation. Amazing. And like it's just like I'm learning so much just like hearing you, and like I feel like what's most important is the fact that you're opening up about just like you're being very authentic about who you are and what it really takes. You know what I mean? Like we have a lot of people who they'll come and share their story, but they're kind of just talking about the wins and the wins and the wins. But like you're talking about like the man you had to become to do this, right? And I know you were an author. You made a book, right? First of all, what inspired you to like become an author? And then do you plan to write another book in the future?
Yeah. So I have a very simplistic approach to life and the way I educate. And if you remember from my event, I use, pictures, drawings, simplify. I like to simplify. So even a sixth grader could come into one of my events and get something tangible and understand these concepts that are very complex to a lot of people. Anybody can overcomplicate things, and what happens is just leave people that are confused.
Yeah.
And so my book was to address that. So the name of the book is From the Ground Up. You're 3 steps away from living the life of your dreams. And so it's a 3-step system that I created in order for people to live the life of their dreams now. So if you apply this system, you're going to have everything you want. The book, you can probably read it in a weekend, right? Part my story and part this success system, these 3 steps. And, we've sold thousands of copies, and we put it out. So I created the system in 2007, and we put out the book in 2010. And so it's been out for a long time. When I look at the cover, I'm like, God damn, I was like a young kid,
Yeah.
But we're working on a few books right now.
Oh, wow, okay.
And, I feel that everybody has something to share. I feel that everybody has a story. And your story is the inspiration to the world, right? And I feel the story should be shared, right? So I didn't want to be an author. I just wanted another media, like another vehicle to share my story and share the education. And that led me into writing a book. But I never, it's not something that I was looking to do. Like, for example, like television, right?
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be doing this, like podcasts. And, when I was young, I had no vision for that for myself. It's not something that, people like I was born knowing that I wanted to be a broadcaster. You know what I mean? Like, I just view the, this as a vehicle of getting my story out there, impacting people, creating change, helping people, being of service, right? So the book is another one of those vehicles.
And like when you think back when you were a kid, when you were a child, would that kid be happy of the man who you are now?
That kid would not even be able to believe in his wildest dreams that I am where I am today.
Yeah.
And that kid would be very proud, right? That kid would be very, very proud. And I wouldn't change a thing. I would not change a thing about, my entire life. It's all led me to where I am today, and we all are talking to that kid in us. I talked about the why, like how my daughter was the why, and the why should be discovered, and it's like different layers. It's like peeling of an onion. And so what really has impacted my life is understanding why I do anything. And it's back to that story, me being 12 years old, asking my mom about my dad, my mom saying, your dad left, never came back. And so at that moment, I remember thinking to myself, you know what? Like, if my son was in a war-torn country and his life was in danger, I would surely take my son. Right? That's something that you would do. It's your flesh and blood.
Yeah.
Even a nasty relative that you don't like, you would take that relative to save their life, you know? And so I remember at 12 years old thinking to myself, what's wrong with me? You know, maybe I'm not good enough for someone to want to bring them with me, with them. And that affected my entire life, the view and the self-worth that I had. It really did some psychological damage. And if I can go back to talk to that little 12-year-old boy and say, you know what, everything's going to work out.
Yeah.
Everything's going to work out. Don't worry.
And have you ever met your father?
No, it's just not part of my, not even. So my dad passed, you know, at some point, and it was not. I didn't have no feelings. It's not a person that's ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you take a lot of time in your life to reflect on like the life you've lived at this point?
I do a lot of reflection. Every 3 months. So first of all, in WealthGenius, we have these ultimate mastermind retreats. So we bring everyone outside of their environment. We go to these exotic places and we work on ourselves. We reflect. We tap into the collective mind of the group that exists there, and it's always like high level thinkers. And so we solve problems. We create businesses, and it's like this really amazing event that we do. And after that event, I do a mastermind for myself. And it's actually my wife and I where we sit down and we do a whole mastermind. We've just done it with this group of 20 people. We've poured into them. Now it's time to pour into ourselves. And so it's every 3 months we reflect on what we've done. We adjust where we're going. And, this is how we know that we're on track. If you can't measure something, how can you grow it?
Yeah.
Right? If you want to grow something, you need to be able to measure it. And the only way to measure it is to be consistent with the data and to reflect. And where were you last year? How did you feel last year? And so most people don't take that seriously. They write down some goals at the end of the year and they hope things are going to work. I think it's everybody's responsibility to do the self-work, reflection, where you've been, celebrate your wins, and learn from your losses, because we're all going to have some losses and learning opportunities, and readjust and keep moving forward.
How important is it for you to have for anyone to have the right woman in their life? Because it seems like, you're very fortunate and lucky to have like your wife that's able to mastermind with you after a mastermind.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like they have to, like that woman has to be a certain level. Like how important is that?
I would say everything is a team sport, right? And no person is an island. And if you have your significant other and they're not on board with you and you're not working and growing together, it can be done, but it's going to be very difficult. It's like the net in Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
He gets caught in the net.
Yep.
And all the fish are going everywhere, right? So you can imagine all your employees, all your family, everybody's trying to swim everywhere.
Yeah.
And then someone says, swim downwards. Everybody swim towards the same thing. And then what happens is when they all start swimming downwards, they become so powerful that they break the net. And so that's the way I see relationships. Like if you and your partner are not on the same page, you're swimming towards different different ways, right? So you're never going to be as powerful as if you come together and you're swimming towards the same direction.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I didn't always have that. To have that, you have to do a lot of work on yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to be a leader. And you got to change the word I to we, right? Because this is how you're going to get buy-in from everybody, your family, your significant other. This is all part of success and personal growth, right? It's not about chasing the money. It's not about chasing the doors or the real estate or the business or the revenue. You need to focus on all aspects of your life, right? And one of them is, it's kind of like what people put that to the last, right? Or they take it for granted, or they look for a partner for the wrong reasons, right? So this is my second marriage. And so my first marriage, I got married for the wrong reasons. And so my ex-wife and I, we were completely, swimming towards different directions.
Yeah.
And so what happens is you grow apart, right? And so, with my wife now, it's like it's a synergy. Like we're all swimming towards the same direction, even though we have different roles, but we all are focused on the same collective goal. And to me, there's nothing more powerful than that, because it's like, why not have a partner that you can grow with, build with, create with, transact with, you know what I mean? It's just like,
100%.
and all the other stuff that comes along.
Literally.
But that's how it is, and that's how you become, and that's how you have a whole life. You're working on a whole life. It's not just the business part.
And that's contagious too, because I remember you saying at the event that like your daughter has how many properties?
She's got 13 doors.
See what I mean? See what I mean though?
Yeah.
Like you said, everyone's swimming in the same direction, where like it even influences like the kids, right?
Yes.
The offspring to swim in the same direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. What a family, huh?
Right? Our team right there.
No, I honestly love to hear it. And I guess, is there anything else that you would want to just like get off your chest to the audience listening right now? Because I know this is an important episode for so many people.
Look, the most important thing that you could ever do in your entire life is take action. If nothing happens, nothing happens. If you watch this episode and all you get is some good, little nuggets, and it's great, and then you go watch another episode of something else and you'll read another book, you've done nothing.
Yeah.
So what I want people to do is to take action of any kind. It doesn't have to be towards me. It doesn't have to be joining my group. But move towards something. Take action, because that's the only way that you'll be able to get anything out of life. And it's not for the end result. It's not to get the stuff. It's not to get the doors. It's not to get the money. It's to see the kind of person that you're going to become, because that's the real gift. The real gift is not the end result. It's not the money or whatever. That is a result of the person that you've just become. Success is what you attract by the person you become. That was a famous quote by one of my most favorite philosophers, Jim Rohn. Success is what you attract by the person you become. And the only way to become is to do. Without doing, nothing happens. And if nothing happens, nothing happens.
Yes, no, I love that. And if anyone, I guess, wants to like reach out to you, or like get guidance from you or join you, like how can they reach out to you?
Hey, listen, I'm Googleable.
I'm Googleable.
Yeah. So, easily too.
Just Google me, and if anything I have to say resonates with me, with you, reach out.
100%.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love
Take
that.
action, right?
Yeah.
Take action. And we could honestly end it there. And for anybody who listened thus far, First of all, this is a treat for you guys. So,
Big one.
a huge treat. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're gonna make sure to add all of our Alfonso's handles, all of his mentorship programs, in the show notes.
Yep.
And yeah, thank you guys for watching thus far, and take care.
Thank you.
Peace.